Okay, good. All right, so welcome everyone, our special little extra meeting so we can get some time in to work on our master plan. Let's start off with a roll call.
Mike Capel, member.
Morgan Dean, alternate.
Wendy Rathke, remember?
John Racine, member, ex officio,
Conservation.
conservation.
Nancy Knight, member.
Joe Spence, member.
Richard, select board ex officio.
Rob Wilson, member.
Alan Burkle, alternate.
Okay. That's that. I did get word from Bill Larson that he would, after this month's earlier meeting, that he would be stepping down immediately, so he will not be joining us. So that's that.
Does that mean, Madam Chairman, that the select board should appoint a replacement, or do we get?
He's an alternate.
Oh, so they put him on.
He had requested to step down from full member to alternate.
Oh, okay.
Before town meeting, so. If you know anyone who's interested in being an alternate.
We
Anyway.
have like two or maybe three
We have-
vacancies.
We have two vacancies.
Two alternate vacancies, so if anyone knows that,
Okay.
Yes.
we'll be glad to appoint.
Why don't we start by going over the minutes from the June 9th meeting? Any comments? I know it's a long one to digest.
I like these
Yeah,
one paragraph minutes.
exactly. If there are any comments or corrections, let's take a motion.
I move we accept the minutes as drafted.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? We don't have anyone on Zoom, so I don't think we have to do roll call. Let's do A or nay. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. So on to the fun stuff. We have our closer to final draft. I don't know how you want to call it, but Tara, I'll let you go ahead and take over discussion on this. Oops. Oh, okay. Are you talking, Tara?
So, did Nancy make it back?
Nancy's here. Barely.
So Nancy, are you gonna want to go over your remaining edits, or do you want me to? Because I do have them in front of me.
Yeah, why don't you go?
All right, when we get to those sections, I will then. So you want to just go through section by section?
I think that would make sense.
Sorry, I want to do this share a little bit different because I need access to more more things.
Madam Chair, can I
yeah.
speak? If we're gonna go section by section, the other two select board members read the master plan, the draft, and I have about a half dozen recommended or recommended changes, all in a small nature that as we go through section, I've got my list here, I could type up.
Fantastic.
Mark, do you want me to pass it down?
I don't think so. I think it's so small. It's not like-
So I'm not sure if you guys, if this is gonna be big enough for you to see, but I'm gonna have the Word document on the screen so I can make easy changes as we go along and only have to mark up the bigger ones. So did anyone have any changes to section 1.1?
There was one, I'm not sure if this is 1.1 or just.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
It's a question of acreages, Sarah. generally in the past, it was thought that the private acreage is 525.
Yeah, I saw that. Mark sent me those comments about a
You got
half
it.
hour ago, but I can, if my number's wrong, it's your assessor's data that's wrong, because that's where I got it.
Okay,
In the assessor's data, we see a total of 40,910 acres, with the Forest Service owning 40,159. The town owning 47. That leaves 704 private acres, 280 of which are out on 6 Mile Bridge and Ferncroft. That leaves 424 private acres in the village. So added with the 47 town, that's how I got the 471. So
okay.
if there's an error, again, it's in your assessor's data.
Can't we just say approximately 500?
Well, it is 471. I mean, I think the assessor's data should
I think
be.
we should,
Yeah,
I think we should know the number.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should do, but-
Why would we?
But I'm
fudge it out?
surprised that, we keep using the word 525 and to be off by a factor of 10%. That's a lot, actually.
Yeah, but the 525 just could be some historical error that's carried on.
Okay.
It would depend if you want to count the 6 Forest Service acres at the gateway. It's 477 in the village. It's just, I went through the process of doing the calculations with your data. I think, why not stick with the accurate numbers now?
I agree. I
Okay.
agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fine too.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
breaking new ground.
We
Yeah.
lost 50 acres.
Anything?
Anything else on 1.1? So there's a general comment that Nancy brought up that kind of starts with 1.2. She wanted to ask about, we use recreation sometimes, and other times we use recreational for opportunities. I looked through and I think we kind of used it where it sounded right contextually. And I did a little bit of looking on Google and found sites that used both interchangeably. So I'm not, just something that the planning board should discuss and decide.
I think.
Basically, it's recreation opportunities in this chapter and recreational opportunities in the recreation chapter.
You're
Do
right.
we want to be consistent? Yes or no?
Yeah, there should be
Yes.
consistent to recreational
Well, either way.
or recreation opportunity.
Either one is considered correct.
And we have a preference.
Just not big.
I don't.
Way.
care.
Do we care which way we do it?
No, why don't we just pick one and just,
Anybody got
Right,
a
right.
point?
If you're gonna pick one, I would say recreation opportunities.
okay,
Fine.
Agreed.
It doesn't get somehow
Fine.
better.
It's.
Okay, that's fine.
Fine.
There are opportunities for recreation in my mind.
Right, that makes sense.
That's fine.
I'm just gonna make sure I'm writing things down as we go here. Did anyone else have anything on 1.2?
Just towards the end, I'm wondering if the end of on the page 3, the end of that first paragraph there,
Hang on.
should has become be became.
Wait a minute. Page 3.
I'm not with you yet. Which paragraph?
You're there, right, the very first sentence across the top, or the end of the first sentence across the top, instead of
Oh, okay.
has become, should it be became? It's minor.
I thought has become is right. but- Great.
It's right there.
But there's an interesting question though. If you look at the housing rentals in the valley, they're higher in the summer than they are in the winter.
Right.
So that the question,
that was my point.
so that the question, the question I would ask is, do we want to say, instead of the principal driver, a principal driver?
Well, the ski resort did become the principal.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and it became the principal driver, and as Mike's saying, it's
It didn't necessarily last.
right, yeah. I
Oh, no,
get-
I'm not saying it's not still a principal driver. I don't know that it's the principal driver. I
But
can't.
this-
I hate to get.
No, but that's my point.
Kind of the
whatever,
history.
but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
that's-
with-
that's
with
saying it.
Oh, when you and I always agree, so it's.
Yeah.
Mike,
That's
Then
kind
it
of talk.
did become the-
Mike, this section is reviewing the history, so I think Wendy's got it spot on. It became the principal driver. It didn't necessarily stay it.
Okay,
I get that. This is the history.
okay, that was all I had.
Okay. It's minor.
It's fine.
Anything on 1.3?
On the third paragraph, the last few words where it says grow and develop in, it should be a
Yeah,
positive way.
Yeah, good.
Correct.
1.4?
Yeah.
Good.
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 Flying right on.
Remember to save this as we go along and I make changes. We're good. All right. It's getting to be a big file.
Yeah,
Takes a minute, takes a little bit to save. All right, vision and goals. Yeah, did anything on 2.1?
Didn't I say to say beautiful valley instead of repeating community
where are you
at the
now?
very,
Oh, yeah, I was looking at that in my notes, in 2.2.
Where are you?
it's at the bottom of 2.1.
Okay.
We see ourselves as a community of year-round and seasonal residents, and then instead of saying happy to share a beautiful community, blah, 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 say happy to share a beautiful valley, so we don't repeat community.
Gotcha.
And I had circled that to bring to the meeting because
It's
you guys had asked me to take valley out throughout the document as a reference like that. So I wanted to check before we do that.
It's a town or location or.
Community. I think valley sounds good here. I just wanted to check,
I mean, it is literally a valley.
right?
Yeah,
Maybe valley,
lowercase,
maybe-
valley lowercase.
Yeah, valley lowercase.
Yeah, no, I know. I've got,
I know.
got that. I understand the preference.
I know.
All right, and then, yeah, I missed that because I didn't miss it, but I circled it like it was part of 2.2 because if we're ready to go on to 2.2, Nancy had something here about whether this first phrase, emerging issues in the future, is redundant. Should it be emerging issues, future issues, or in the future? She asks.
Sorry.
Emerging
where-
issues are always in the future.
Right,
It's just repetitive.
Yeah. Applied to issues or applied to emerging issues, which did you like better?
That doesn't matter to me. Pick one.
Anyone have a thought? Emerging issues versus issue, emerging issues, that's
Yeah,
nicer.
period.
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
Emerging issues, get rid of in the future. Okay. Cool.
Did we decide on the valley thing?
Yeah, the
That-
valley.
All right, good.
I did it.
Okay, thanks.
So I hope you did.
Yeah, well, it's been done.
And then there was another thing on another wording change in Nancy's notes on the goals. Is there something better than some in this young families drawn by the great school? Do you want to say excellent school or high quality instead?
Yes,
Which
excellent.
all right. Yeah, 12. Anyone else have anything on the goals? That's an important piece.
The last one, I had a minor note. I'm just looking at it
Right.
again.
Okay,
Board will continue to be focused of robust community conversations to find right-sized solutions to Waterville Valley. Or were you saying to right-size, like we have the solutions, we're looking to right-size them? Or we're looking to
I was using it as a verb.
Okay, okay. To right-size, okay, that makes sense.
We don't have to use it as a verb, but I was.
Oh, no, that's fine. That makes sense that way too. Alan?
And the item that starts with increases in year-round population.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you want the word vote.
where are you? How far
It's the
down? now?
third up from the bottom.
Third from the bottom.
Well, I thought that's what we were trying to say is that both will have positive impacts on businesses. I think.
Wait.
I wouldn't.
The both
like
is kind of redundant because you say it already, but
Yeah, I don't, well, it's your plan, but I don't agree. I would either
okay.
leave it or move it to the beginning of a sentence. I wouldn't take it out because I think that is the point.
Yeah, I think both does indicate that they're sort of a package deal, right?
I thought because they were in the same
Because it's.
sentence, they were in the package deal.
But if we have increases in year-round populations and decreases in recreation activities, will that have a positive impact? I think that both indicates that they should be together to have that positive impact.
Yeah, I think both is important in there.
Does that make
I
sense?
disagree, but I don't, it's not, no big deal.
Leave it.
Okay.
All right, then we would be on to chapter 3. Anything in 3.1?
I didn't have anything. Anyone else?
Three point two.
But the only thing, and I know we can't get there, is that the chart on page 8 kind of stops at 502 or 3 or 10 or whatever. And we're currently and the source is correct that it's 2020, but currently we're up around 660, I think. Is that about right, Rich? Something like 660?
Yeah, and then-
670 plus.
Up around 670, which is a big difference from what the chart is.
Right, but can you get the US Census that current in a chart?
Probably not.
No, it's different data that,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
It just kind of doesn't paint anything like the current picture.
but it is mentioned in the verbiage
No, I
elsewhere
understand.
that we have.
I'm saying
So I
just the
think-
chart.
but Mike, if somebody gets me the 21 and 22 data from the town clerk records, I can add it to this chart right here.
Act easy. I can call Sharon or Rich can, whatever.
I mean,
I will get you that this afternoon. I'll call Sharon.
because I'm assuming that's the data source
No.
you're talking about, and that's easy. No
I'll
problem.
call Sharon and get that information.
Okay. Great.
We just need to be adding it to the right.
That's
chapter.
fine.
But I do have here that town records, that someone told me town records indicate 639 year-on residents in Water Valley as of September 15th, 2021. If you could just double check the data that, so that I'm putting in the right.
I will get it as of today.
Good, well, it looks like, okay, it may, she may tell you that they officially do it September 15th, but just let me know.
I will call her today.
All right, so we're in 3.2.
I have something for 3.2 on page 13.
Okay.
This is the list of specific objectives.
Okay, we have something to go back to on 12, but go ahead.
One of the select board members recommended that there are, suggested is actually what he wrote, there are two other objectives we may want to list here. One is be responsive to the needs of electrical vehicle charging, and the other is recognize responsible climate change mitigation measures. Either incorporate into the current bullets or add.
Yeah, those sound good.
You can do it with affordable housing, I mean, stay up to date with technological advanced infrastructure.
Yeah,
I mean, they could be add-ons to that, or they could just be separate bullets, or the planning board can reject that. It's a suggestion, not a commandment from us.
The
Well, no,
question
I mean,
about
if we're-
electrical charging is that if you read the federal guidelines that are coming down, where they're going to put 500,000 electrical charging stations on public highways. My understanding in talking to some of our illustrious representatives in Washington is that they are talking about having one somewhere around exit 28.
Well, we're talking about what the town can do to
No,
support
I
local
Yeah.
businesses.
exactly.
Hey, Rich, can you see what the second one was?
Sure. Let's see, so the second one was recognize responsible climate change mitigation measures, or some kind of wording like that.
Right.
And the first one, be responsive to the needs of electrical vehicle charging, or words to that effect. So what can the town objective to support sustainability of local businesses include? We mentioned workforce housing. You could see that calculate year-round workforce. We can modify that or just add another bullet about electrical vehicle charging.
Why don't we just say support electrical vehicles?
Why would I say that?
Yeah, that doesn't
Right.
make sense. I
You
think
know,
be responsible.
electric vehicles burn coal to make the electricity, put them here,
I
so on and so forth. I don't think that's a valid objective of the town.
Well,
That
except
is
we're-
more being addressed at the HOA level. You know, in the
It
town.
is, you're right.
and
I don't think it's a town responsibility.
And
Not-
hotel-
I
and
don't think-
hotels as well.
I don't think the idea is a town.
And hotels.
I don't
Yeah.
think the point is it's a town responsibility. I think the idea is that we would support it. We wouldn't create zoning that would prevent it, right? I mean, isn't that?
I would.
Yeah, I think the concept, as I understood it, is that in order for a business to sustain itself today, whatever the underpinnings, realities of electrical vehicles today, if you want to run a successful resort business, say a lodge in a resort town.
Is it a resort plan or a town plan?
Well, no, I'll
He's
get
getting there.
that the businesses should and will be considering, probably will be adding electrical vehicle charging stations. So should the town, this is the question you're asking, should the town support those efforts? And we already are, actually.
I don't know.
The Renewable Energy Committee is charged with by the select board to work with the resort association and local businesses on, see what the town can do to help with the electrical vehicle charging stations.
Point made, but I agree with exactly what you said. We should support it.
And that was all, that's all the intent.
Not,
Yeah, no, I
Not-
think,
not-
yeah, exactly.
Right, since we mentioned workforce housing.
Yep, yep.
That would be another thing. We're already doing it. I think we can continue to do it. Now, we may not be able to do much of anything. But the idea is to be responsive to whatever ideas they come up with and do something you can do.
Yes,
And I don't know, I didn't get a chance to look in the action plan, whether we mentioned.
I feel like there was something in there, but I didn't.
There must be, because the
Yeah, I think.
blank thing is so long, it's gotta be mentioned in somewhere.
All
But in any
right,
event, so,
so shall we add those as separate bullets just to make it easier? Which is easier, Tara, for inclusion of those concepts?
I think they probably make sense as additional bullets.
Okay,
Just put in parentheses China at the end of it.
I'll make a note to add those.
great.
Do
Yeah,
you-
so,
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, instead of recognizing responsible climate and mitigation managers, I would say encourage them. I mean,
Sure.
recognizing just means.
Sure.
I see
encourage
them.
is good.
yeah,
I was gonna ask Tara, do you actually have this language? Did Mark send you this?
Yes,
So you have the two bullet points, and then Nancy was recommending, which I think we agree with, to change recognize to encourage.
Okay, thank you.
I just don't want you guys to have to sit there while I try to type whole sentences.
yeah,
Got it,
that makes
got it.
sense.
How do we encourage it?
All right.
We don't
It's
know.
it's a
That's
goal.
not the.
Oh, okay.
It's a goal.
Never mind.
So we need to go back to page 12, Tara.
One of the edits I received that I wanted to run by you, because there's been a lot of back and forth about the hockey.
There's the winter act.
I've got to find the right sentence, hold on.
Did we lose the winter activity?
No, it's page
No,
12.
So,
Here it
this-
is.
So very top.
in the first
Oh,
paragraph,
there it is.
in the first paragraph of winter activity, Nancy had suggested deleting the words "it seems that" in front of the impact of hockey tournaments has been a more important economic driver, but I just want to check because you guys have had a lot of back and forth about the impacts of the hockey tournaments.
Well, what if we just say it, get rid of "it seems that" and "a more" or more rather, the impact of the hockey tournaments has been an important economic driver. An additional important economic driver. Maybe it's not for us to compare, but
Well, significant.
yeah, significant.
Do we know? Does somebody have statistics?
Well,
All we have is anecdotal.
Yeah.
Oh, so we don't even know.
But actually, have to run the tournaments. I know the numbers.
But
So,
to
But do we
compare
know
to the
that-
ski
yeah.
area.
we actually referenced that later in the document.
Yeah,
for-
well,
Yeah, how many
but-
teams, how many weekends.
Yes,
But you don't have all the ski
but not
numbers to
ski.
compare it to, so you can't.
Well, then trying to stop compare,
Yeah.
just mention it.
Yeah, well, so I
Like
think-
a significant, or,
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, because the
significant.
Resort Association would, I mean, you guys think that the hockey tournaments are a significant
Oh, it's undoubted.
economic.
Undoubtable.
Has it
Yeah.
been, I have a,
What Wendy says.
has it been growing? Could we see, while there are still those who choose to come to Water Valley for short visits to ski?
No, it's not growing.
No, okay,
There's 22 weekends, for the fall and winter and spring tournaments. So it's not growing, and it's actually maxed out where we have to actually get the Holderness School outdoor rink and whatnot, but there's no more, it can't grow any larger with one.
okay, just beg that. So what are we doing here?
Yeah. Not growing.
So we're working on the sentence that begins, while, the second sentence. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One,
While there's
again. So while there are still those who choose to come to Waterville Valley for short visits to ski, the impact of hockey tournaments has been a significant economic, has become a significant,
Economic driver.
yes.
If you want to put a number in there, so it's 2 night mandatory stays with.
Well, we got that later.
We
though.
have that somewhere else.
Yeah, we're just trying to summarize, has become,
Economic driver. We still are comparing with the word while, I mean, but
it's less
If we're
so.
gonna say it's become a significant driver, we don't want to say the impact. We want to say
right,
Right,
I see you going. Yeah.
hockey tournaments have become. We would say hockey tournaments have become a significant economic driver among transient guests from late fall through March.
You can actually say from summer, late summer,
Well, yeah, it's expanding.
when it's expanding, but maybe why don't you take the word late out, just from fall through March.
okay,
Good.
good.
Are we still close to your original point, Nancy?
Yeah, this looks great.
All right, good.
All right,
I had something on page, are we're still in the same section?
Yeah.
14.
I have something on,
14, whatever.
something on 13 first.
Right, we disposed of that, I think I had another comment on page 14, which. I'll
Okay,
leave
I'm
it.
on 13.
That's it, okay.
Where are we?
Let's not bounce it back and forth if we don't have to. So
So,
on
yeah, we'll
page-
go to the page.
on page 13, Nancy had raised the issue that sometimes we say biking and sometimes we say bicycling. And do we want to be consistent? And I just have one comment on that, if you decide to be consistent by saying biking, we would only want to do that where it's used with hiking, because there are plenty of people that hear biking and think you mean motorcycles.
Harley, yeah. No, I think bicycling would probably be the better consistent word.
Well, also if you say mountain biking, nobody says mountain.
Oh, that's
bicycling.
true.
That's
That's true. Good point.
That's different, but if it's standalone, we can say hiking and biking, right? Or bicycling, which we're saying hiking and bicycling. But
Yeah, that's a good word.
They're actually two different things. Setting aside the motorcycle aspect of it. Mountain biking and biking and
That's a new
bicycling,
word. I like it.
I think people would consider those two different activities, right?
I think they are
Yeah,
different.
road
Yeah,
bike.
yeah.
I think road biking and mountain bike are
So
different.
why don't we just use the one that fits in the sentence that we're hiking and mountain biking and bicycling are extremely popular during this time of year.
Why don't we, you mean like mountain and road biking?
okay, but Nancy's point wasn't just this sentence. She was just raising the issue throughout the document. What do you want to be consistent with?
It
I would say
depends on the
biking. I
sentence.
mean, I think everyone knows, we're not talking about motorcycling around the valley, really.
Other than
Well,
biking.
not when it's used with hiking, but there are plenty of people that when I say my partner went up to Canada to do a 1,000-mile bike trip, they ask if we have a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I think where you're coming from makes sense, Tara. If the context with hiking, use biking, mountain, use biking, but if it's just biking on its own in a sentence, it should be bicycling, right?
When we're talking about road safety, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
yeah, I think it's the context,
Yeah,
use whichever fits with the context.
Okay, I'll search for both and check that. And just you guys may or may not be aware that gravel biking is
Starting,
really growing.
yeah.
We have more than road bikes and mountain bikes. Gravel bikes are really taking off.
I don't even know how to, they would really hurt the ball. Yeah, okay.
All right, I've got to find my place in this.
All right.
We're in 13.
Do you have anything else for 13?
I just want to make sure I change my note pages here at the same time. All right. All right, Rich, did you have something on 14?
Yeah, this is just an observation that one of the select board members had. It's similar to Mike's comment at the chart that talks about the commuter patterns. It leaves something to be desired only because the data is dated. So in 2018, we may have had two, wrong.
Yeah.
In 2018, we may have two people according to the Census Bureau. But now we're probably looking at a dozen or more people.
Well, no, in 2018, there were probably a dozen or more people.
Well, that's that
Yeah.
issue too. So
Where are you, Rich?
It's the
it's
chart.
the
on
chart
page
on
14.
bottom of page 14, so.
Do you want to delete it? I can't change the data source.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just an observation, I don't,
I was taking it as that the chart is documented where the data came from.
that's right.
And those of us who know it's not accurate, but it does paint the picture, at least
It's
in
bad.
general. Was
Do
that
it-
It
do any
paints
of the-
incorrect. It paints a
negatively?
misleading picture.
But I mean, even if it's like,
The
okay,
chart is right, but you know what I'm
but
saying.
no, even if it's 15 people who are working in town, whether it was full-time and it was their primary occupancy or not, two, it's 15 isn't a whole lot.
Yeah,
Right.
the relative numbers are the
Yeah.
important thing, not the actual number.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it would change the image that this gives at all. And it could be that some of the people working in town their job isn't actually in town, but they're working remotely for companies that aren't in Waterville Valley.
Or they're working, but it's not their primary occupation. I mean.
Right, this is just primary job. So, I mean, I think I wouldn't see this as telling a different story if it was 2 or 15.
No, that's fine, I do, again. just
Well,
an observation.
except, and again, when I look at from 16, 17, 18, I see a downward trend.
Well, is it worth
Doesn't matter.
noting that anecdotally?
These numbers are too small statistically, I would say.
Yeah, I understand, I just,
Too small.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You look at numbers that are 10 or less.
Yeah.
It's insignificant.
yeah,
That's the point of this illustration.
right.
okay.
So we're ready for page 15?
Here we go.
Okay,
Uh,
16? Anything? 17? No? 18?
The next thing I have from Nancy is that
19. Well, it was 19. What is it now? Now it's 18. right?
all right, yeah, that's throwing me off here.
Yeah.
Mm. So
Maybe.
do you have that in front of you? It's a significant wording change. See, Nancy was suggesting to start this paragraph off. Saying with the following factors, hyphen, a strong tax base comprised primarily of developed taxable land, high quality homes and businesses, a small population and a high percentage of homes used only seasonally, hyphen, Waterville Valley is able.
Is it worth, the town is in the process of revaluing for tax purposes, everything?
Can we stick just so I don't lose my train of thought, stick to the question I asked?
Yeah. Can you read that again?
So Nancy suggests rewording the top 2 lines here.
Right.
To break out the factors and have them between hyphens and instead.
Between M dashes.
Yes, I know how to do those now.
Well, no, I mean, I'm telling them so that essentially what you're reading is with the following factors, Waterville Valley is able to provide a high level of services and still maintain a relatively low tax rate. And so within the M dashes are the following factors. so that they're broken out and the sentence
Gotcha.
is easier to read because you can get to the point.
And you really get the point more clearly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Does everyone agree with that? No concerns? Okay, cool. Okay,
um,
That's the last thing I had.
actually, there was one other point, in the next sentence, I didn't get a sense of how important that was without saying out of how many towns.
But I added that.
Oh, you did? Oh, sorry.
You know, 235 incorporated municipalities.
Sorry, in my document, it's still left out.
Yeah, you're not looking at the current, you're not looking
Yeah.
at the draft then.
Nope, I was going back and forth. Thank you.
I only brought up today the things that I thought weren't, that,
Yeah.
that the board might want to talk about, that,
Yeah.
based on my experience.
okay, cool.
Do we want to put a dollar sign in front of the 14.063, or is that conventionally, say the tax rate in 2019 was 14.063? What is that units of?
Yeah, dollar makes sense. Dollar sign, unless it does
I
not.
mean, it's in the chart.
Sure.
Whatever the convention is.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Let's get rid of the 3. That's
Yeah.
confusing.
Make it consistent. Rich, do you remember what it was for this year?
I think it's 15.60.
Something like that? Like $1 higher than it is there?
This is the full value tax rate, not your actual tax rate. This is the full value tax rate that lets you compare with other towns, apples to apples.
Right.
Okay,
Big in housing,
and 19,
you spent a lot of time on housing
yeah.
earlier, housing supply,
Page 20, real good.
housing costs. That would bring us to chapter 4.
All right.
Old number.
Great, all right.
Old numbers.
You guys hadn't taken so long, they'd be 1 year more current for some of it. Some of it just not more available.
I'm wondering, this is very, very minor, on page 24. The third line down. Does Boston Journal need to be italicized?
You're on 24.
Page 24, third line down, way on the right.
Yeah.
Boston.
Yep, good.
I did have 2 comments on 4.2, if that's where we're at now.
What page?
14, I'm sorry, no, 24,
Perfect,
the early years.
good.
So one comment, and
There is a second.
I don't see Reggie here, but she had mentioned in the meeting we had last week about how she thought our discussion of history, where we put the discussion of Native Americans on the historical resources should be better, could be better put here in early history. So she's gonna look at this section, and I told her if she couldn't get us language, how she'd like to change that in time for this meeting, that she could do it, or the Historical Society could do it at when we have a public hearing. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. You see the early years here, and then
Yeah,
later
that's true.
we're gonna be looking at, because those sentences really could go here,
Yeah,
and it being all in one place. So we may want to consider that.
I did speak with Reggie on that. Charles, I don't know if you
Oh,
want.
I can
Jump in.
see that.
It's high.
Yeah.
No, the her feeling is definitely that it could belong here, and that would maybe take some of the, controversy out of that, because this is the history.
It's just
But-
right here.
Excuse me, but this is,
Recreation.
this is the recreation chapter. And we're talking about the history of
Right.
recreation in
Sense.
this section.
Right.
That would make no
Right.
sense at all.
Why don't
Yeah,
we put it in the history of history?
yeah.
Yeah, I
as
mean,
opposed to
it's the general comment, I guess, that we have at least two places where we're talking about history. We don't have a place where we just talk about the early history. And yes, this
True,
is.
true, but that wouldn't belong here.
Okay,
Yeah. no, that's
This is
true.
the
that's-
recreation chapter. This is the history of how the recreation.
okay. That's fine.
Yeah, but I'll disagree with you. This is like kind of sequential, and we kind of, we hop, if we're looking at a sequence of what happened in the valley, we would have these
Specifically
things
about
in
his
order.
recreation.
But
We
it would-
wouldn't in this chapter. It's the history of recreation in this chapter.
we don't really know the recreational habits that.
Maybe we have a section that's just history.
Well, no, that-
After it all.
That would be fine, but it wouldn't go here.
Right. No, I think, as I said, I left it to Reggie and the Historical Society to provide input if they'd like to see that at the public hearing.
So we'll worry about it at the public hearing.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'll look at where a good spot for history,
Yeah, that's-
history would
Yeah,
be.
that's a better way of putting it. I also had some minor language change and I find, should have marked it on.
Sorry, while you find it, there, on the
Okay,
fifth line,
okay.
there's a second Boston Journal.
Yeah,
Line.
good catch.
Where?
In the fifth
And
line,
the citation.
in parentheses.
Yeah, in the parentheses.
So I'm looking at, whenever you're ready, Tara, I'm looking at the second paragraph and. the
Yeah, and
only-
I have that in front of me too. And Rich, I just wanted to say that this particular sentence was rewritten twice by the Historical Society members.
Well, let me just say, well, one select board member is suggesting again. So I mean, the sentence reads in the 1850s, hiking, bridle path, bowling, croquet, tennis, golf, cross country, skiing and alpine skiing all gained popularity and so forth. Bob Freeze thought that a more accurate way of saying that would be that in the 1850s, hiking, bridle path, bowling, and croquet were frequent activities followed in subsequent years by tennis and golf, and eventually by cross country and alpine skiing. So he wants to give it a sense of, timing
Like growth.
of growth. That's another way of putting it. Again, this is a suggestion. None of these are meant as anything but trying to make it more accurate.
I think that's fine. I mean,
When did the tennis first start? Was it 1860 something?
I don't know. I mean.
I think the historical side is that.
Doesn't matter. It's minor. I do care.
But in any event, if you have the language, if people are okay with it, do you have that particular language? You said you got it from Mark?
I do have it and I'll mark it to make the change. I just wanted to make clear that two different Historical Society members told me how to word this.
I think it's minor.
But I don't remember one.
As long as we're being consistent with the source that was cited, that's, I'll make the change.
Okay. I think it just improves the accuracy. It doesn't change the
Yeah.
substantive.
Right.
The Bob Freeze suggestion.
Anything else, anything in the next section of Tom Cochran's Water Valley?
Yeah, well, we on page, that brings page 32.
Not yet.
Not, okay, nope,
25.
25, sorry.
We'll go to Thursday.
I'm trying.
I know, it's been a lot.
90
Okay,
days.
so,
We'll never make it.
are we going 25? 26?
It's true, we have War and Peace to get through here.
My only thought with the chart, and I don't know if this is possible, Tara, so I understand how the blocks are. But where we have the dark block going into the, like, from 26 to 27. You losing year round on the top dark on 26, 27 kind of made me had to look at it again. Does that make you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I might not be able to do, I'll see what I can do by making it a different row.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for each page, that the
Yeah,
initial,
I know. It's, I'll have to just fake some rows, I think.
okay,
But when you guys make changes, those page breaks change, so that thing really should be in the final document. The
Makes
final,
sense.
final is part of the final formatting. If I do it now,
yeah,
and what changes are made at the hearing, it'll be all different.
yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's, that's just not worth the time till the final formatting.
Agreed. Did anyone have anything on the contents of the chart? We good?
It is interesting, although accurate, under outdoor sports, we have tennis. We don't mention the tennis center, we mention the athletic club.
Where's that?
If you look down under summer and holidays, outdoor sports, where we say golf, swimming, tennis,
Yeah.
and mountain biking. Although theoretically accurate that the White Mountain Athletic Club, well,
They
Was
own and
swimming.
manage it. I
Yeah.
don't really think you need to mention the,
Yeah,
well, it just sounds funny not to mention the tennis club when you mention tennis, but that's, just funny.
Is it separate from the athletic club or is it
No.
part of?
it's a part of it.
Doesn't matter. The legality stuff, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, I understand
Alan?
what you're saying.
Oh.
Huh?
I guess I understand what he's saying.
It just looks funny, but
This is small, but I think pickleball is one word,
Where are you?
year round in the chart.
Which
The
page?
bottom,
26.
row on page 26, yeah. Pickleball, I believe is one word.
I believe that's accurate.
Where,
Page 26
Yeah, right there,
there.
right where you're-
all right, I got it.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Well, good with the
They
chart?
still use the racquetball court in the athletic club.
It's either one.
No,
All right,
it's now their shot.
I-
And the aerobic room,
I'm just,
yeah. You're there all the time.
not now. I thought that they no longer had a racquetball court there, but I could be wrong.
are you saying racquetball's listed and it shouldn't be?
I don't believe there's a racquetball court in the athletic club.
You are correct.
So what page?
Yeah, I'm right.
Okay, what page are you on?
I'm on bottom of page 26.
Same with pickleball, was 26 in that one cell.
Yeah, I didn't draw attention to that.
Should Should we strike racquetball?
I don't think there's a racquetball court there. I mean, I can check.
Oh, you're probably right. You're right. Let's strike it.
Okay.
Maybe that'll move the chart up.
That critical line between the space and the.
Where do we do volleyball?
On the beach.
On the beach, that's where there's a volleyball
Yeah.
court. And they also do it down at
And
BBTS,
the athletic club,
and they do it down at
behind the
BBTS,
cabana. they do
Yeah.
volleyball.
and then BBTS, they have a volleyball thing.
Okay, so anything else in the chart? Good. All right. Move on to 4.4, page 30. 31.
We all know that the 2,020 feet is a lot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have to,
so just leave it.
wait,
What's
2020,
that?
What is it?
no, wait, it's you mean?
Yeah, no,
2020, that's the vertical
that's the
drop.
vertical of
That's correct,
Tecumseh proper,
the vertical drop, but the height of
but
Tecumseh
the
is
actual
under.
skiable terrain is, from, if you include, high country, it is 1,900, and I forget the number. No, that's just, that's like a marketing thing, and it's
That's
not true.
but that's in all their marketing paraphernalia.
Well, no, that's why I'm just making a point that
It says they added
It's
that
a
you
lie,
can
we're
speed
not
out of
at
your car.
2,000 per-
That might be.
put on.
Yeah, with the pandemic, can, because they want.
Well, that's true.
That might be 100 feet or whatever.
Actually, probably 20.
Yeah, it doesn't say skiable vertical drop.
Exactly.
It's a quote, and I think it might be a little rude to
Yeah,
add something saying it's not right.
Yeah, no, leave it, I just.
That wouldn't be bad.
You could just put sick after it.
What would the goal be?
no, nothing. It's-
Forget
it's
it.
nothing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
not do
anything on page 31? There we are. Under 32,
Bob Freeze, who was a high-level member of the Waterville Company, said it was Waterville Company, Inc.
It is Waterville Company.
It's Waterville Valley Resort Ski Area Ownership History. He said he believed that Inc. should go after the Waterville Company.
In
With a
both
comma or
places.
without a comma?
I normally, I don't know, I see it with a comma, I don't know.
It is with a comma.
It's usually with a comma.
It is with a comma.
Okay.
Are we doing it in the table or in the text?
In the
Both.
table, I would guess,
I think
unless
both.
add Bob
Well-
Freeze to the bottom.
probably both,
I
right?
would say both.
'Cause it should be in the,
Same as you say Waterville Valley Holdings, comma LLC, should be Waterville Company, comma Inc.
On Tom Corcoran's LinkedIn, it's Waterville Company, comma, Incorporated, INC period.
Yes. Inc.
Yeah, so I would put it in the.
Why aren't these the same when we say the Water Valley Resort was owned by Tom Corcoran's Waterville Valley Company, but then this just says Waterville Company, which is right.
oh,
No valley, just Waterville.
yeah, that's true. In the text, it should be Tom Corcoran's Waterville Company,
Commenting.
Inc.,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we haven't used ink all through the text.
Right, there's.
I think it makes sense in the table where you have the others.
Wrong.
It should.
There's an LLC.
well, we do it in the chart, but not necessarily. in the
Yeah, I
text.
would do it in the chart, but not throughout the whole text. I don't think that has a point.
But there shouldn't
That's
be
fine.
that, there shouldn't be a valley, it should be Waterville Company.
Yeah,
not
and that,
Waterville
and the
Valley.
paragraph above it. Yeah, we
I
should have
deleted
kept the valley.
I guess I deleted that.
Yeah,
But I don't think we need to say, like, I don't think we need to say ink in the text,
No, I didn't do that, just the table, but
but in the table, yeah, I think it's a good idea. I would add it.
so I did both those. I did.
And I would add Bob Freeze to the sources.
yeah,
He's a real, like, you know,
Been
legit.
around long.
He's legit.
yeah, I mean, he's a former C-suite person from FRIU, and yeah, these companies, so. Yeah, he deserves to be a real source.
Cool. All right, move on to
Oh.
33.
So does ink go in both of these?
Yeah. Waterville Company, Inc.
When I have to come off medication.
Okay. Anything else on 33? 34. Oh, yeah, that paragraph for the skateboard park, since it's the last line is on its own. I assume you can get rid of the spacing.
Yeah, it's justified.
Justified.
It unjustifies the whole paragraph. I
Yeah,
have tried that before.
Can I make a suggestion?
it looks
Wait,
better that
let's
way
finish this
anyway.
one.
Okay,
I think it's okay. Yeah, Mike,
The skateboard park. In the foreseeable future is going away.
that's, it says relocation or elimination is likely. On page 34 is where we are.
Agonized over that.
'Cause I
yeah,
was
we already changed that.
where it provides a summer camp skateboard park. That's history, I suppose.
But where are you looking, Mike?
On 33. On the paragraph, of local, it's history, I suppose. During the real season. It was one of the businesses. Isn't resort, the resort provides a summer camp.
But that's current.
No, it doesn't currently provide a skateboard camp.
I would,
It doesn't say skateboard camp.
There's a summer camp, skateboard park, and adventure center for cross
Summer
country ski and so on.
Yeah, I think you're conflating summer camp and skateboard park.
okay, I,
Okay. Yeah,
skateboard park is an issue.
but we addressed
But
that
that's
on
fine.
page, we addressed that on page
No, no, I
34.
understand.
All right. Are we good for 35? To move to 35? My only thought was the two lines on the bottom of 35. Can they go to the next page?
So the map is clear.
Just because I thought it was a legend and then I was confused.
Yeah, they should, again, the final format, and we'll pick up that stuff, but
Okay,
Have we used the term fat biking anywhere else in the document?
I think so, a couple times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Were you reading that section?
The first paragraph,
Waterville Valley Adventure Center.
page 36.
34.
Oh, it's at 34, I'm looking at it 36. Yeah, you're right, first sentence and the last paragraph on 34.
Yeah, I don't think it's fat biking, I think it's fat tire.
I've asked about that and they've called it fat biking from the resort. I don't know, is there? Morgan's tapping.
what's the question?
Whether it's fat tire biking or fat biking.
Oh, fat biking, they're fat bikes.
Yeah, a fat bike, sometimes referred to as fat tire bike,
Yeah.
so it's the original.
Either or.
That bike.
In other
Yeah.
words, it's an accepted term.
It's not
No,
very-
I've never heard anybody say fat tire bike. It's fat, it's
But
It's
real.
insulting to the bike.
It's PHAT fat, not.
Try to use.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on, please, yeah.
It's real though.
Under 36, I think is where we were. I just had a. What did I have? A map on the next page.
on 36 or 37.
On 36, sorry, the third line down on biking trails, I had a comment that I can't read. The map on the next page.
It shouldn't have a comma in it. Was that your?
Yeah,
Yeah, it should be no
yes,
comma.
there should be no
Yeah.
comma.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Okay, good.
Good catch. I'm glad to see everybody read it.
Read the document, can't read my notes.
Great.
All right, so 37. Good. 38. Good. 39. 40. Oh man, look at this flying. 41. Okay. 42. 43. Just keep going, 44. 45, it's a tribute to your thoroughness, Nancy. 45,
There's,
44.
the end of the White Mountain Athletic Club, the last paragraph in that section, there's no space between that and the next heading.
Yeah,
Oh,
I just added that.
Cool. That's good. All right. Got it.
There's some, I acknowledged in what I sent too, that there's some spacing problems I still need to solve, because see how it's bigger than all the other spaces now that I did it?
Yeah,
I've just gotta spend, I mean, some things like that just are not worth the time till it's the final document.
makes sense. All right. On to 46. All right.
Can we, go back to 44 where it says Water Valley Tennis Center
Mhm.
is an award-winning 18 clay tennis court. Consistently named, since as far as I know, it's been there as long as I can remember. And
What are
so
we, I'm sorry, I don't know where we are.
I apologize, I'm,
It's the bottom of
When the
page
people
20,
call.
44.
when the people called me on what I had to do with my medication. What I'm saying is, where it says the facility, it says name, I was saying consistently. Because it has been consistently named every year.
Yeah.
It just came out as number.
So first sentence,
Number
last
amazing,
paragraph,
like
page
8.
44.
Yeah.
Sarah, that's where we're looking.
Yeah. It's minor, but
Yep, that's good.
just makes it sound better.
Yep. All right. Moving back through 45. 6. 47.
I have a question.
46.
Well, just in general, as we're going through this, I see a lot of things that mention hiking, but did I miss WVAIA on here somewhere?
I know it's been mentioned.
I just saw it.
Point.
It is mentioned as one of the local non.
Page 41,
Okay,
John,
did I miss that?
if you look at 41,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a section. At the bottom of 41.
Got it, thank you.
that's,
Yeah, I did miss that.
is that enough?
That's enough.
Okay. I mean, it's an important
All right.
organization.
Then back to 47. Anything? Or
You want to
47? What?
Rich. Are the new trail things also in that area that would show the arrows and stuff?
I mean, you want to,
Instead of the current things that are in the new,
they're both.
yeah, but then once the new ones that have arrows on them and stuff is, never mind.
Yeah, they're added to the trail signage. They're not replacing the time of the pictures.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not meant to replace.
No, because these are cross-country trails.
Right.
okay,
Those are more for biking and bicycle.
And Nordic, yeah.
okay,
Hiking.
So
okay.
with the chart on 48, all good.
So anywhere in here where it says what BBTS actually stands for,
Yes, it is in their section.
somewhere else.
It is.
In their section, it says Black and Blue Trail Smashers, and then in parentheses,
So it's not on 40, whatever. Okay, moving on.
do we want to put ski joring in there since that was a new thing?
On 48.
And they're gonna do
On
it-
line 6, other snow activities.
and they're gonna do it twice
Sure.
in the upcoming year.
You doing?
Well,
Joring.
I'm gonna take you and let
Wait.
you do it.
I'm looking
Par-
at
Yeah,
priority-
is that gonna be consistent with your data source, Nancy?
Say that,
Well, it wasn't, like, this is from the source, and the source didn't have
okay, okay.
that there.
Okay,
Do we have
Good
hunting
point.
and trapping?
in the forest, yeah,
We do indeed.
Okay,
that's why you wear your orange vest when you're out hiking in the fall.
There's a top activity that's declining. Yep.
good.
All right,
It's gonna be interesting.
49,
Wood beavers.
couple lines on 50. And that's the end of the chapter. Right through it. Flew right through it. Awesome.
RV. Do we have RV? I suppose we do in the campground. Yep.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
All right, are we on to chapter 5? Is everyone with us? Cool. Any comments on that first page, 51? Okay, there's a nice map on 52. Okay.
I have a question back on 51 that when I read it, I gave me pause. I'm not sure, I understand it, but it says, how to be good neighbors. to the
Where-
nat-"
where
I'm
are you?
sorry, maybe 1, 2, 3. No, we're under paren 2. How to be good neighbors to the natural resources around us and the natural park. I mean, I guess theoretically, it's not really around us, we're in it, not around it. I don't know how you say that, but the White Mountain National Forest encompasses us.
It's around us.
So it's not really around us. Around us would be that which is outside circumventing us. It is part of us. Or am I being, I apologize.
Saying
Nancy's
surrounding,
much better at that than I am, but
you're saying it should be surrounding us?
well, it encompasses us.
Just eliminate around us.
When I say, and again, I am not a wordsmither, but around, with the way around us to me says that we are here, it surrounds us.
So
Whereas
do we just get rid
it
of,
encompasses.
get rid of around,
Just
get
take
rid
the
of around
words
us?
out.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Am I nuts? I
What
am
is-
nuts.
Hey, I have an idea. I think I would leave around us, but get rid of in the White Mountain National Forest.
So how would it read
Stops after around us.
around us?
Because he's
Either
right.
way.
He's
Okay.
right that the
And
town,
not
is-
just the forest.
Let's do.
Okay,
does that work for you?
It just struck me as
That's good.
whatever.
Okay.
No, I can follow what you're saying.
Thank you. Good lucky.
So I'd think it's the natural resources around us, but we can get rid of in the White Mountain National Forest to,
Yeah.
How is number 2 different than number 1?
yeah, no, now it doesn't work, does it?
I'm sorry.
So for number 2, instead of,
Well, yeah, one is private municipal and the other is the forest.
Natural. Well, it's meant to be.
To need the forest in part 2.
So what, maybe it's, how to be good neighbors to the natural resources in the White Mountain National Forest.
yeah,
That's fine.
Maybe we get rid of the around us instead
Yeah,
of,
I think the one that it was the around that
yeah,
gave me pause.
okay.
yeah, let me undo that.
All right, anything else on 51?
I'm assuming.
To get back in the right place now that we did that. Sorry.
Are we under 53?
I'm just trying to get back to the right place here.
Okay,
It took me back to the beginning when I rejected that change. All right, so we're getting rid of around us. How to be good neighbors to natural resources in the White Mountain National Forest.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
Okay, so 53, that's good. We're on to 54, so Matt,
Can we go back to 53?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm thinking of. The second sentence at the top. Why don't we have to take care of residential use of hazardous and toxic materials?
Chemists take non-resident.
sorry, I didn't hear that question.
In the second sentence, it says care must be taken to manage non-residential use. Does that eliminate that care needs to be taken for residential use?
further in this.
But the sentence goes on to say, and to educate homeowners on the importance. I think you don't typically regulate what the homeowners are doing. You regulate what the non-residential uses are doing, and you educate the homeowners. You manage business. You don't manage the homeowner and their, yard chemicals. You educate them. The difference of the verbs is important.
So non-residential means commercial and civic.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
right.
Yeah, those are the things you can manage, whereas homeowners, you just to educate them and hope for the best.
Especially around here.
Well, anyway,
Right.
Does that make sense, Alan?
I'll let it go. It's not that, to me, I mean, a resident can't go to the sewer and dump in kerosene, for example.
What they do.
They're not
To my
supposed to.
point.
But we have to be educated,
Education is the only way.
Okay.
Same thing with they're not supposed to take paint cans and throw them in the dumpsters, but they do.
Okay.
You can't take big things.
What?
You can,
Doesn't depend upon the type of paint.
latex paint,
As long as it's
Some
all
paint
dried out.
and some-
dried out or.
Yeah.
but that wasn't his, we know that wasn't his point.
Right.
On the correction of that.
But you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. Okay,
Same thing with
so
computers.
back with 54.
All type of
Are we done with 53? And 54. Yeah. 55. Mhm. 56,
Why do we have a picture from Thornton?
because it was a good perched culvert. We talked about that
I know,
earlier.
but I think
We don't have it here. It's good to show that it's not here. We're avoiding it. We don't want one here.
I don't want one. That's true.
I don't remember if there were any in the database in Waterville Valley, but I wouldn't have used one because I wouldn't have wanted to kind of point fingers at the road owner.
There is one that I can think of off the top of my head.
I just, it would,
Yeah.
we're trying to educate with this, not upset anybody.
Yeah.
But there is one, under the Pond Loop Trail.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know you have some. The question was whether there were any in this particular database. And I think there may have been, but I wouldn't have chosen it. I would have chosen one nearby instead.
The picture is very illustrative and I think it's good.
Okay.
Okay.
So 56. 57.
I have one. Yes. Okay, so on the bullet points, I would change the first one to ensure small pets don't become a food source to wildlife so that it reads. Well, so that the verb, the
Yes,
sentence reads like this. Yeah,
So how do they catch their food? No,
All right, anything else for 57? All right. 59?
What is full shielding? I hate to ask the question going backwards, but
For the lighting?
I had a question of what full shield and shield
So the
lighting is.
So
of
the light is directed.
Is directed down.
It can't go up.
Okay. I just didn't.
They go a full completely.
I didn't know what the term meant.
Covers, yeah, it completely covers the bulb.
Fully, yeah, fully shielded, it can't go up or out to the sides.
True.
Okay,
60? All right, 61, we should have some discussion here. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, so I think everyone, Sarah, thank you for incorporating the draft recommended language revisions and we're talking about 5.5. So a number of people got together last week. Thank you, Morgan, for helping, pulling together the language. We had a couple people from the Conservation Commission, Jenny Lucas and Charles Hastings behind me, and a couple people from the Historical Society, Reggie Briefner and Charles Hastings, as well as Preston Conklin, the town's unofficial historian. I think is a good way to characterize him. And I think Randy Briefner was there as well. So we went through a number of variations, derivations, and came up with the highlighted sentence. I've already made the point that Reggie believes that it seemed out of place, that it would better belong in a history section somewhere were we to go down that route. As it is here, that is the compromise language in lieu of a land acknowledgement statement. Reggie couldn't be here this morning, but she also asked me to point out that she remains strongly opposed to the word steward or steward. So I told her I would say that. But that is the compromise for the board, the planning board to consider. And like all compromises, not everybody is happy, but
That's what he knows, the compromise.
it's what we could agree to do. So there it is for discussion.
what does stewarded mean? I mean, I'm not a wordsmith, right?
No. I mean, that's really the one word that hung us up, I think, the longest.
No, it was things like the Native American traditions of not taking more of a plant than allows it to grow back and be sustainable, or only hunting, we got our hunting and fishing laws from them of hunting in the fall after the young had been raised. That's the stewarding that they did that we learned from them.
Yeah, that is, I think, the definition and context here. You're absolutely correct, of the proponents of having the word stewarded. Their other side argues that stewarded suggests a much more proactive management of natural resources, not a proper use of resources.
Yeah, I was answering his question.
Yeah, no, I'm just throwing out what the, and I appreciate that, what the proponents were saying, and then asking the opponents, and to give them their full due, they also note that you can go back to history and see where Native American societies collapsed because they were not stewards of the environment or the natural resources. And why do we believe that in this case, we mentioned the tribes that make up the Abenaki actually stewarded in that manner. So, so that's the long-winded answer.
My issue is that when I think of stewarded property, I think that it's a whole lot more than hunted and fished.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about farming, I'm thinking about all the rest of the stuff. I mean, so if we're well, almost certainly hunted and fished. The land now known as Waterville Valley. I don't think, and basically what we're saying, I think, is that there was really no evidence currently of any settlements or anything else. Basically, what I'm told we think may be is that there was a trail whereby Native Americans went through here.
But I think you're looking at that with a lens, a current day lens. Stewarded, that, you know, when Native Americans were living here, indigenous people, sorry, they were thinking 7 generations ahead. We don't do that. And I think that's where the lens is just
We don't.
very different.
Well,
7 generations ahead, I mean,
I
yeah,
think most of the people who live here actually do look forward.
the majority of our country does not, the way that land is stewarded. If farms,
Really?
if farms were stewarded that way 30 years ago, would we have as much topsoil?
America
erosion?
doesn't appreciate its land, you just said.
No, I did not say that, Rob. I did not say that
You
at
said
all.
America does
Well,
not.
No, excuse me, I did not.
Property tax.
It's
down.
stewarded land, not
baby.
Waterville Valley. So I think.
Well, but I mean, my issue is, when I think of stewarded the land, is that's a whole lot more than a trail that came through here. So,
But I think.
But why were
but I
they
think-
following the trail? They were following the trail because, as Charles said, there were caribou in this area at
well,
one time,
but
so they were
they're
sustainably.
they're taking a trail from one place to another. And over the course of that trail, they did things,
Mhm.
but it wasn't a settlement. They didn't stay here. There's no evidence they camped out here. They passed through here, and as they were passing through here, they did certain things. That does not, in my mind. All right, and again, I'm not a wordsmith, but it doesn't get to stewarding it. It gets to you passed through it. While you were passing through it, you hunted it and fished it. All right, you did steward this land. Somewhere there was a trail, presumably. All right, we think. That there was a trail that went through. That's a whole, that doesn't reach, in my mind, the level of stewarding the property. It says, there's a trail, and while we were going through it, we did that.
Yeah, I think we all heard your point. And I think that I really appreciate the people who sat here and wrestled through it and came up with a compromise. And I'm just inclined to accept the compromise that the group came up with, because I know you all put in a lot of effort on that. And I think it does strike a compromise of the different sides, the way it's written here.
Oh, no, I'm not adamant. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying I have
I
a
think you
problem
made your
with that.
point. I think you
with
made your
that-
point
with
with that
that-
word,
with
and
that
that's
word.
like what Rich said, that was a sticking point, but the group compromised together and accepted it. And I'm inclined to go with that.
I mean, the board is a little bit split on this, obviously, so.
Yeah, obviously.
It is a compromise.
The Conservation Commission is, first of all, grateful that there's something in here. Grateful that everyone was involved and brought to your attention something actually happened here. So we're okay with that. Another subject here is on line 6. Now, I'm not very good at punctuation and all that stuff, but where it says since the colonial period, should that be another subject? Or should that be part
Like
of it?
another paragraph, you mean?
Yes,
Should be a paragraph.
We talked about that too. Yeah. And basically, we wanted, like, that's how it started. And we added this above it so that it felt more sequential. In that the Abnaki came before colonial times.
That's all that was meant by just trying to find a connector, something, a word that connected. Going from one thought to another thought, so since.
so it's fine the way it is.
That's how we thought it was. We did talk about that specifically, but I think it wasn't that lively of a discussion about it.
Does anyone feel strongly that there should be you feel strongly there should be a paragraph?
I do, but
there?
it's just me.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on that? A paragraph? right?
Nancy, you're pretty good at.
Remember what's going on.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
Part of,
yeah, I'm ambivalent myself, but
I don't know.
there's another paragraph here we played with, and so just in terms of presentation.
Yeah,
I mean, in terms of just coming at it and reading it, sure, it could be a separate paragraph, but if the group thought that it was the meaning was better served by keeping it a single paragraph, I would hate to interject. So, I mean, Rich or Megan, what do you, like, did the group feel strongly that it should be a single? Because then.
No, I mean, just as we're ambivalent about it, there really wasn't much
No,
It
discussion
wasn't
about it.
anything, connect.
And if you want to make a new paragraph, I take no issue.
Dealing with the subject matter in one paragraph.
Well, I mean, I don't think people coming to this are not gonna know that it's been fraught
Yeah.
with any sort of
Yeah.
emotion. And it's gonna be easier to read if it's a separate, if it starts again. It's always additional paragraphs make things easier to read. If
Okay.
it's, you
I
know,
think so.
thought and then a new thought.
It is clearly a separate thought,
Yeah.
and I think it should be a separate paragraph.
So new
It was
paragraph.
meant also to transition to the resources, which is about at the end of the paragraph. So one paragraph was about the resources you could. Again, it does get back to Reggie's concern that we're all happy with the language, but maybe something like this is not a resource thing, it's a history thing.
but it
That
is
makes sense.
another thought.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with, I think it was,
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's just a little
new
easier to
paragraph
read.
there.
Sure.
it stands as a topic sentence if you want to move it as a
Sure.
second paragraph.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Because then it goes on to,
I've made a note to do that. I'm not gonna do it here because then we'll all be on different pages.
Okay.
Okay.
and I think Preston wanted, just one other quick thing here, Preston wanted, to make sure that, people understood that there were two Goodriches, so there's AL and NL. And L is Nathaniel, right? He thinks it'd be better if we wrote Nathaniel. There, I think that's the way it actually is too.
Okay.
So it says NL, history. Sorry, I can't see. where-
Waterville Valley, a history description and guide by A.L. Goodrich.
That's good.
Yeah.
The Waterville Valley by N.L. Goodrich.
By Nathaniel L. Goodrich. That's what Preston recommends.
Okay,
Makes sense.
Oh, yeah, go for it, John.
We
So
voted,
are we changing this? This is what was sent to me, but
Yeah, where it says N.L. Goodrich. The Waterville Valley by N.L. Goodrich.
yeah,
Just
Will
change, just spell out N, it's Nathaniel. That's all.
okay, that's not in what you sent me, but
No, it's something I forgot to change, I forgot to make when I sent you, when I sent it to you. And I think, Charles, you had another change I missed.
the titles of books are normally italicized, not put in caps or bold.
Aren't they?
no,
under-
in this style set, if it's a capital, if it's a book, it's this font. If it's an article or something like that, it's italicized. This is the part of the style set that we're using throughout the document.
It's okay, as long as it's consistent.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's been consistent in the document. It's the style set we settled on.
Okay.
So I
Write something else on the page.
guess we're done with it. Is anyone, I guess
Yeah.
we're going with that.
Yeah.
With that minor change or the paragraph.
Yeah.
what is the first paragraph of the second, of the
Well, that gets to what is currently the second paragraph, right?
yeah,
That gets to what we were trying to accomplish. And of course, never begin a sentence with however, but we do it all the time now. The Historical Society had some difficulty with this paragraph in particular. And I want to let them, would you like to speak? There's a bit about removing the paper map, GPS coordinates and so forth that we mentioned.
So we're kind of on 62,
It flows into
61.
62.
yeah.
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to add about deleting that is there are recommendations that do that. And you can't really have a recommendation without having something in the text to document it. And it came from the recreation department. I thought that they were doing this GPS and creating the app that would also include the historic sites.
Okay, Charles, what was the point then? Are they not doing that or,
The Historical Society is not currently engaged in this.
but is a rec
I
department?
don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm not informed about it. I thought, I was trying to simplify, suggest ways to keep the wording down on this paragraph, and I was not aware that there were such elaborate plans to create some sort of digitized historical map. There was
Yeah.
one there that has to be changed, and there was a wording that said that we would, that the people digitizing or creating these maps would include all historical data. You cannot do that.
All right, right.
If you include all historical data, you encourage people to go out and loot places they shouldn't be. You encourage people to encroach on private property. You have to make selections about which historical data are going to be put on the map. So at least you have to make that change. If you want to put into this planning document that there shall be some kind of elaborate historical map with GPS and earbuds and everything else, that's up to you folks.
Yeah, this isn't saying the Historic Society is doing it. It's a recommendation that we have in the plan for moving forward. And I think that we could edit this sentence so that I hear what you're saying about all of the known information. Can you provide some alternative language to replace all of the known?
I think I did in a draft, I don't have that with me, that just some of, as opposed to all would take, if you get Preston to give us all this known information, we'll be going on for pages and pages.
What did we say?
Compile.
Compile information, yeah,
Yeah. Just get rid of all of the known, maybe.
yeah.
It would be.
Yeah,
possible.
good.
Could be possible.
I think that works.
Yeah.
Because the rec department is putting an app together with a lot of information about the town, and this was a recommendation for, how to increase awareness. So that we've said, however, much of the physical evidence is being lost, and this is one way to not lose the knowledge.
Okay, good.
Again, it's the planning board's decision as to whether or not they want to keep this section.
I think if it's something that we've heard about from the rec department to work on, and it's a good goal, I mean, how else are we gonna preserve things in the field?
Is being lost or has been lost?
Are being.
Both, yeah.
Because it doesn't say, this says is, which means it's currently happening, and it happened and is. I said that badly.
Well, I think if you say it is being lost, that implies some have been lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, you guys are better at that than I am.
I mean, they do cellar hole hikes, that's part of this, right? Like the rec department, or is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a combination of, I think it's the Historical Society in combination with the rec department. And the rec department get more involved in this. I was just talking with someone who's, we're trying to get someone to do a GPS survey of an area of Green Mountain, which is apparently a natural habitat to some bird that doesn't allow us to reopen the trail that used to exist there. So we have a complete circuit.
Yeah,
So we are talking about these things at the town level, whether we actually get anything done, of course.
so up to it.
Alan,
Do you want to make it
Um,
still being lost?
Continues to be live.
Well, I didn't know things are continued to be lost. I know they were lost, but I don't like
hear from the expert archaeologist here.
Well, no, yeah, I
It's
mean,
still going on.
I'm sure that as development continues,
Yeah.
you lose things, but it,
Okay,
huh?
Yeah,
can we get back to focus?
yeah.
Karen, I had something back on page 61 at
How long?
the top, where it says for the surrounding site landscaping. I think the word for, it doesn't make any sense. I would just start the surrounding site landscaping. I think
Yes.
that's what it's trying to get to.
Okay,
That was it.
cool.
Yeah, I think that sentence was changed, but not completely changed.
Yeah, that's what.
Is the memorial,
Mike, can we just focus on this? Elizabeth's.
it is,
directly for Kate?
on
Okay,
51.
But
Okay.
did you want to change it to much of the physical evidence of this history has been lost? Was that the,
I think is being is more accurate.
okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
all right, so sorry, Mike, you're asking 61.
The,
61?
Historical marker outside of the library. I forget who it's to.
You know about the stone?
Yeah,
Yeah, barely readable stone.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
we, on the historical tour, they practically bring it up. That's not on anything?
I don't know.
I
Okay,
mean, the National Register of Historic Places.
I'm just, I don't know, obviously.
Okay,
Okay. Just,
all right.
you know, but whatever that really reason is.
Okay, so are we
Commemorating somebody.
I guess we're-
wrapping up the chapter?
And,
Yeah,
yes.
good. All right, chapter 6.
Page
63, yes.
Yes.
I have one thing from someone.
Go ahead.
So, Bob Freeze thought we should add a little bit more language here. Terry, you have it, but let me read it to the board and then solicit views. So he asked that we consider adding quote, Tom Corcoran's vision was based on his experience working at Aspen and on the board of Vail Resort, and from his travels ski racing around the United States and Europe. His plan was based on a series of concentric circles. The innermost circle, the town core, should encompass commercial, recreation as much as possible. That is the Corcoran's Pond and Adventure Center, for example, and transient lodging such as a Snowy Owl Inn. These functions provide density to support each other. The next circle will provide quote unquote warm beds, meaning more inns and hotels, time sharing, etc. The next circle out will contain high occupancy condominiums for rental or owner use. Next, higher price condominiums with primarily owner usage. Finally, the outermost circle will be the single family homes. So that was the planning, that the vision that Tom Corcoran had. And he thought that somewhere in this, we ought to try to capture them.
So
That's great.
to me, you've
That's how they
summarized,
did it.
I think you've summarized it in this first paragraph, and I read this and I just don't see that it's relevant or belongs in here. This is really was a private developer's vision. And now and you've summarized that, but it doesn't have relevance to the future vision.
Well, but it could fit in the historical area. More than this area, more than.
If you want to add language, but I just don't think it belongs in there. It's my opinion.
In the whole plan or just in this section?
In the whole plan,
Okay,
it's too much detail about a developer. We've talked about him in numerous times in this plan. It's certainly acknowledged as the founder of the community and the driver of its feel, but I'm not sure why you'd want to add even more language on that.
I think he was, I think you look at the earlier, language about it being, what about being a planned unit development or being a prototype of a planned community where other units had not been. We talked about that earlier, so I agree with you. Were we to say anything like this, it probably will belong there,
More historical.
if anywhere, because it explains what the original intent We had those two sentences, the three sentences, I don't remember the section off the top of my head, or it doesn't belong in the plan. It's
Well, I
really-
think I think that's the location we're looking at, where we say Water Valley's legacy as a planned resort community designed with a vision and higher degree of comprehensive planning. Communities. That's what we're looking at, the first paragraph of land use, but I think
Okay.
summarized it adequately without going in all that detail, because it shouldn't be the basis of your plan.
You know, it's not the basis, but I would say that a lot of times when something seems weird to us, we ask ourselves, why did they do this? Why is this here? And someone reminds us, oh yeah, that was the thinking behind, the original planning. And then it's kind of understandable and we kind of move on from there. So it just sort of helps ground us in why things were done a certain way and why we've decided to move on from that.
That's why I think it's in the historical area,
Yeah, so
not
that's,
this area.
yeah, so it's good history to have, only because it helps us understand why things were done a certain way and why we maybe don't want to do them that way in the future. Or do want to do them that way, it's-
So
it's
if you were gonna do that, then I would add part of this language after this first paragraph, so that you're expanding on, we say the 5 different zones, natural constraints, overall design intentions, and then expand on what the design intentions were. But why is it relevant that he worked in Aspen and was on the board of Vail Resort?
I don't think
Yeah,
that's
that's
relevant.
not,
Yeah, this
No.
was just suggested.
You know, I
It was a
don't think,
concentric circle.
it's more the concentric circle, exactly,
Yeah.
concept
historically, I think that's where it
that's
belongs,
helpful.
not
yeah.
here.
Well, but Mike, this paragraph is the history, the land use history and how it started. So I think that if you're gonna add that language, this is where it goes. We said 5 different zones according to the overall design intentions, and here's what they were.
The concentric circle, yeah. Alan, did you have a
Definitely
thought?
goes here. I just think there's too much detail, and if you want it, I think you should get rid of the part about Aspen and Vail Resort.
Yeah, I agree about that.
We agree.
Alan?
I don't think, I think it's too much detail, but if you want to put in anything, from what I understand, the reason Tom Corcoran chose Waterville Valley was because of its one way in, one way out. Which to me is more critical about the atmosphere here than concentric circles. He didn't want this to become another lunar, in that vision. He didn't want a road to go from here through Livermore Road up to the Kangaroos. He wanted this to be the town at the end of the road.
But this is the basis of the land use patterns that we're talking about. We're not talking here about Tom Corcoran's vision. We're talking about what was the foundation of today's land use patterns.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm not saying what I'm saying belongs in this place, but I think what I'm saying is more important to the document, and it's not included anywhere than this excess words.
It's kind of included in the recreation section where it talks about how he, hired the people to fly over and that's when he selected the land. So it is in the
I understand
recreation
that,
section.
but did it just say why he chose it?
Yeah.
Okay, then I missed that.
So do we want to include concentric circles or not?
Do we really have concentric circles? I'm trying to. it might be
Well, that was the theoretical.
I understand that was the theory, but
In the middle.
no, I understand, but I don't know that actually.
Well, it didn't work out that way, no, I mean,
But I liked understanding the earlier conceptual
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
right.
That's why I liked it
I
in the
think-
historical area, but it,
Charles, you have something quick to add?
If I could just insert something here. I think the business about concentric circles, I find it fascinating. And I can relate that to why my family chose to move here and build here in the early 1980s as opposed to many other places across New Hampshire. It's because Waterville Valley seemed to be a place that was growing according to some kind of well thought out plan.
master plan.
And the plan seemed very appealing. And I had never actually, in all the years I've been coming here, I didn't know about quite what the details of this plan were. And of course, we don't stick to that. But often I think people who live here reflect back on the notion of sort of the gem of the idea of a planned community. And that plan, even though it's not followed in its entirety in many ways, not at all.
That's true.
That plan was the kernel of what made Waterville Valley special over the following 50 years, as opposed to many other places. I would like to see, I would hate to see this drop. You've got so much interesting detail in this planning document. I would like to see it put somewhere, as opposed to just swallowed up in history elsewhere that people will not see.
We weren't talking about dropping this paragraph. We were talking about adding a select board members additions.
Right,
Well, but I think the important part is,
The concentric.
yeah, so,
is the plan, even though it never came, and a lot of areas did not come to pass. The plan was, and it clearly, a lot of it still is based on what we do in the planning board. We're planning what we do here. It's not just happenstance, helter-skelter. Shouldn't use those words probably.
Okay. I
Okay,
think
so
develop-
what's the way to go forward with this? Should Rich just read out the
In there.
sentence that
I could
just
craft a
concentric
smaller
circle
sentence
part?
or
Yeah.
if you wanted to craft a couple sentences from what you have. That may be the easiest way to do it.
does that make sense, Tara?
What I did was circle everything except the part about Aspen and Vale and make a note that I'm gonna add some sentences from
Okay,
those notes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
That's what I thought I heard the consensus being, so.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. All right, is there anything else on 63? Right, 64.
Did we ever have, just out of curiosity, there is the old master plan. Plan that goes back to the Waterville Company. Plan of how they were gonna do things. There was a master plan. Chart that they
Yeah.
had.
Yes,
Right?
but can we focus on this though?
I thought
I
that's
know, I know,
part of the consensus circle.
well,
That's
but
what they
she's,
did.
she has the
Fine.
verbiage.
Okay.
I'm trying to get us out of here before noon.
Good goal.
Yeah, we're halfway there.
All right, where are we?
64, I believe. Right?
64,
We good there? And 65.
Margaret had one comment on the map on 65 and I discussed this with her, Tara, and she understands, but what's not shown on this map, which you took from official town documents, is that there's actually a green belt that was donated, which is basically the connective trail. Her note was, I believe the West Branch Village Owners Association gave the town the land along the Mad River as a green belt, and it is not shown as such on page 65.
This is a zoning map,
Yeah,
so it must not be zoned Greenbelt.
Yeah.
Or it's a mistake in your database, but
yeah,
this,
I don't know which.
this map's gonna be replaced anyway when you have your vendor update the zoning there.
You know, the colors.
So make sure that they look at that if there has been a zoning change on it.
Okay,
Good.
I know it hasn't been while I've been, there hasn't been a zoning change there in the 5 years I've worked for you.
All right, so anything on page 66? Uh, 67? Oh, Alan?
On 67-2 Triple I Road Municipal Services, I'm not sure if this belongs here, because we're talking existing land use, but in the middle, it says a small parcel in this area is owned by the developer and used to store heavy equipment. I'd like to add The town of Waterville Valley is in negotiations to purchase this site. If successful, the options for repurposing the entire zone expand significantly.
This is just a description of what you have now.
But I think if we end up buying those 2 acres, it's gonna change the options for that whole 15-acre plot dramatically, and this is about, plan, master plan.
But this is the existing land use section.
I said that to start, so where would you suggest my suggestion would go? I don't think we can not have it in.
Well, except
Well, we have a
it's
future
only,
land use.
it's only happened in the past couple of weeks, so I think, it. I don't know, in my mind, a little bit of the challenge in creating this over a year and a half, 2 years, is at what point do we say, what's happening in the past month, just can't make it in, because we'll never finish.
I think if I'd only partly heard the comment, but is it this small parcel zone village commercial that's used to store heavy equipment might be bought by the town? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Correct.
Yes,
yeah,
Well, why don't we just delete that sentence? It's if it's,
okay,
we don't have to have every detail. But it is existing land use, so it's not the place to talk about what might happen in the future.
but it's in the section of recommendations, is it not?
and
The end of the document.
it might be,
But this is just describing the character of existing land use in different parts of town.
Yeah, understood. But it's
I
in
think-
this chart of things
Yeah,
that we have to take action on.
I think Alan's point is valid to the extent that we should be talking in this master plan about, and maybe it comes in under the new wastewater treatment facility, but with the town is going to have available to it some large portion of the 15 acres that's located in this area. Maybe it belongs in future use, maybe it belongs in we talk about facilities in different spots.
I would add it when you're talking about facilities
yeah.
and the
Okay.
facility needs.
Okay. Good, anything else on 67? All right,
Does anyone present know what the status is of the GIS data, when we might be able to? Be nice to have a real map here before you go to public hearing.
I'll check on that, Sarah. Mark hasn't said anything recently to me.
Yeah, when I spoke to Mark, it's still,
I mean, your zoning changes were in March. They should, seem like they should be
I know
doing.
Sharon's been communicating.
Working with that,
GIS,
yeah.
So everything just takes longer.
yeah,
You could just bring that back to Mark.
all right, so anything on 69?
Two of the people on one of my other planning boards are probably the people doing that, if that would help. If I can reach out to them. See if I can nudge them.
Cool. Nothing on 69? 70? $71? Okay. 72?
On 72, again, Bob Freeze drawing on his long history here in the valley and working with the Waterville company. Thinks that the language we have concerning starting in 1994 and how all that
where are you? Rich?
second sentence of the paragraph that's under the symbiotic nature of Waterville Valley, page 72. So you can see what's written there. He thinks it's more correct to state, write this. In 1994, the company sold the ski area conference center in Town Square to Killington Resort, also known as Ski Limited, which was then acquired by the American Ski Company. The U.S. Justice Department, feeling ASC controlled too many resorts in New England, mandated that ASC divest Waterville Valley Resort. It was then reacquired by Booth Creek Holdings.
Yeah, that's way more accurate. I was trying to remember the history
Yeah.
myself and having trouble. That's definitely more.
So
accurate.
I guess what I would do is make that correction. What I'd recommend is making that correction without the Justice Department piece, because that's just not. Why is that relevant to your master plan?
Will be,
What if we just, I understand all the importance of the sequentialness. Question is, do we really need it, or can we just say in 1994, the company sold the ski, blah, 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 and Town Square, period? And without getting into all of the history of that and what happened.
Well, that paragraph is though about the history and how now
Well,
Tyrell.
we've got to get it to Booth Creek Holdings, because then we'd wonder why they were selling it in 2010 and the next.
Okay,
right,
But I think we could just add a couple steps in there that.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to say anything about the Justice Department to do that.
I think you can take, you do have the language, correct, Tara?
Yeah, let me just add the other steps in there without, do you feel the reason is important?
The what?
The reason that ASC
the only,
sold it.
the only reason I would see it as important is so it doesn't look like we're a hot potato. You know, like transition to transition to transition. In a just business sense, it devalues, like, you know, why didn't anyone want it? But that was my only thought as to why.
You could simply say as ASC sold it without explaining why they decided to
No,
sell
right,
it in such a year. I think that's what Tara is recommending.
The sequence of events, I think, is valid.
oh, it's true.
But
So,
every picking why, this particular reason why it was sold is. We don't say why the company sold it. The Killington Resort, and then why it was
Yeah,
acquired by
true.
American Ski Company.
and then
So why
why,
not just say American subsequently sold it to
okay,
Terrell Creek Holdings, who subsequently sold something like that.
yeah, that's fine.
Say to Killington Resort, which was then acquired by American Ski Company, which was in turn acquired by Booth Creek Holdings.
Yeah, something like that. So you just get the sequence of the names of the companies,
Yeah,
then you go into 2010 with Tyrell, I think.
Does this belong in future land use?
wow. Well, yeah, yes, I mean, maybe
We talked about the history, so
we could,
to be accurate.
I think,
I kick you. I mean, put the-
kind of so
Future against this, but we need it.
not all those details don't necessarily need to go here, but I think because we have some, he was just trying to correct what we have.
Yeah,
The point here that belongs in the future land use is that the town center and one of the main industries has been owned by this company. And that, you know, it together with being a planned unit development are what make the town unique and drive future land use.
I mean, it is sort of the setup paragraph for the town's relationship with its the primary developer in town and owner of the major recreation in town. I mean, I think I saw it in the setup paragraph.
yeah, I think just showing the transfer that, because it isn't accurate to say that Booth Creek bought it in 1994. So we shouldn't have something inaccurate in there.
Probably
Right.
at the start.
Yeah,
That I agree.
so can you just make those changes in a way that makes sense and isn't inflammatory?
Yes,
Sarah? Thank you. All right. Anything else in 72?
Is it Terrell Development Company, LLC?
Yeah, we don't do that throughout the document for the company. We've left them off consistently.
We just did it in the chart,
We did it in the chart.
but we're not doing it in the
Chart,
text.
because we were trying to show the actual.
Okay. I get hung up on those
Okay.
things
The
because
thing is, when you're talking, you don't say it.
True.
I do, but
And it becomes cumbersome.
Most people don't.
All right, anything else on 72? 73? 74?
So Bob wrote on 74 that I don't like the line, quote, with the village of owning 471 acres, has serious impacts on the town future. I would delete that line.
Where is that? Sorry. The
Bottom of the
The
paragraph.
bottom of the paragraph.
Kind of the main point here, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is the point.
that is really the
she
point.
said he doesn't like it.
Well, yeah,
Suggested we consider it, that's all.
all right. Alan?
I'm gonna make one more try to, on page 73, we talk about Tyrell Development Company. And the impact on town facilities. Should we put the sentence?
Where are you on 73?
Top of 73.
Okay,
Now we're talking about Tyrell, who owns that 2-acre parcel that we're in negotiations to buy. Is this where that belongs?
Yeah, that's not, we're not talking about a 2-acre parcel here.
Yeah, I'm confused.
At the end of the first sentence on page 73, it says, and impact on town facilities. Part of that impact is the 2 acres we're negotiating to buy in the municipal facility. You know, in the wastewater treatment, not that whole thing. So I'm asking if this is a place to put the sentence. The town is in negotiation to buy 2 acres from Tyrell adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant.
But how does 2 acres for the wastewater treatment plant have any impact on this paragraph?
Has an impact on town facilities.
Well, let's talk about facilities. This is big picture development trends.
Yeah, she was saying in the facilities chapter, so just put a pin in it till then.
it's important, but not here.
I'm trying to find a place.
Well, we're
think
not,
two
we're just not
acres-
there yet.
2
Just
acres isn't gonna make or break the development pattern in the core.
I would respectfully disagree.
Well, for facilities, it will make a difference, but not for the land use pattern.
Right.
just Saying,
I don't agree with that either. You're talking about 15% increase in acreage, which you're gonna relocate the water treatment plant to the 2 acres. You're gonna open up the rest of the land for future development, which is,
Out of town.
could have a huge effect on what this town looks like and acts like in the future.
if that's the way it goes.
And we have to capture that somewhere. I agree with you 100%. We just have to find a place to capture it.
Okay.
I think we're looking perhaps in the facilities.
Facility,
section.
yes. That's what we said.
Absolutely valid point.
Okay. Then we're back on 74.
Okay, I remember my comments.
And then 75. Yeah, we'll get the map on 76.
Nice.
So,
Is there a title for this map? It's hard to figure out what it is.
I don't know what it is.
Flood hazard information?
Is there reference to it?
I think that's what's on the previous page.
The floodplain?
Yeah, maybe we could put some sort of heading or title on it, just
Yeah,
to,
it's so, there's so much going on that map that
Yeah.
it's gonna be even smaller if we make space for a title, but in the preceding paragraph, the provisional FEMA floodplain map on the following page shows what's shown
Yeah.
as 100-year floodplain in blue, and then here it is in blue.
Yeah,
and at the bottom, flood hazard areas, so, I mean, if I make that small enough, to put a title on the page, how do you even read the map?
Yeah,
I don't even read
yeah.
that now.
I think it's all right.
Well, if it says in the preceding paragraph, the floodplain areas are shown as blue on the map on the following page, how can you not?
Yeah,
No,
no, I made the connection when I was actually reading it, so.
And I'm not gonna restate somebody else's title either. I mean, this is your national flood insurance map.
Okay,
Alright. Go ahead.
maybe
Okay,
Alan, under future land uses,
good.
issues, maybe that's the place to put it, on 77. Is there a place to put it there?
Well, that's kind of in subsections for housing, vibrant village core, economic result. I still think facilities.
Think it goes better there?
Yeah.
Whatever, I mean, I agree that it has to be somewhere, I
Yeah.
just don't know where.
Right. All right,
Are we doing all future land use issues or going by page?
the page of 77. $78. $79.
79.
Ding, dong, ding, ding, ding.
B 79. So, John, please cover your ears, probably you too, Bill. Bob says, quote, "I'm not sure stormwater is in the same importance as economic resilience, vibrant village core and housing, but I may be wrong."
He's wrong.
It's okay, he just doesn't know better.
He's wrong.
I think
You
he is
can,
wrong.
can I quote you on that?
You can, I will gladly tell him that.
Well, just tell them that we've agreed not to do it.
I'll be the
Yeah,
faithful
no,
messenger.
I will gladly chat with him about stormwater.
So we have to pay to re-dredge the pond for another $500,000.
He doesn't-
That he'll recognize.
But I think it's consensus of the board that that's not.
Yeah.
Consensus of the board is.
I'm just being the
And both
faithful-
your professional planners. So,
All right, so we're on to chapter 7?
Yeah,
Awesome.
but it does show an opportunity for education of townspeople.
True.
The board is always looking to be educated. If somebody wanted to come and explain to the select board, reports of stormwater, I'd be happy to put it on the agenda.
Awesome. All right, so page 81.
and for starters, if they read the recommendations in your NRI, I mean, I think he laid it out pretty well.
Yeah, maybe that's
Yeah.
a good place to start.
Yeah. I had a minor thing in the second paragraph, the 1, 2, 3, like 4.5 lines up. Housed in the old schoolhouse, which had also served instead of was also served.
Where,
I got it.
The town library, just minor,
oh, I'm sorry.
it just. I don't know, it-
what page?
It's 81.
81.
Probably used to say was the town hall.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
okay,
I have one very minor point on 81. We talked about doubling to over 600 residents. We're really approaching 700. I wanted to say doubling to near 700 residents.
That, I'm gonna get that number. from
Can-
Sharon later, but
can
I agree with 700.
what are you saying,
I
Tara?
don't know where we are.
I'm sorry, for 7.1 introduction on page 81, the very first
Oh, the
sentence.
first time.
Apologize.
Doubling to near.
So I'll
Saying
look at,
here,
I'll look at that when Mike gives me the actual data.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 673 of.
Yeah, that's the last time I
But
spoke.
we don't want to have, I don't think we want to have a set number. I think it's closer to 700 than 600 is my only point.
Yeah.
You can say approaching 700.
We should.
Well, I'll look at that when you give me the data.
Okay.
I will take care of that
Okay.
today, Carol.
Then 82,
And if it's closer to 700, is that what you want to say, approaching?
Something like that, yes. Yeah, that's correct. John.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, that would sound weird, doubling to approaching.
Yeah, we have to come up with, yeah.
Is it nearly
Almost,
700?
almost
700,
700,
close to?
yeah.
Whatever.
After doubling.
Recently approaching, we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
recently Approaching,
You get rid of doubling, they're recently approaching.
all right. Let's try.
All right, so we're on page 82. There's that question about the,
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Mark to get back to me about the miles.
all right, so
Yeah.
mark on that. 83, I had one minor thing, the 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph down. The town core committee, the last sentence, town core committee in 2015, the pedestrian study was done in 2015. It started in 14. Okay.
It may come to fruition in 2030.
Maybe.
3015.
Sorry, I should say.
It's true. Anyway, all right. Anything else in 83? 84? $85?
Love to have said, and unfortunately in the past.
86?
Can we, in 85, we were talking about parking,
85?
yeah,
What is inefficient parking?
I got confused. Which happens to me a lot.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Inefficient parking.
Inefficient.
Land that's not used to its highest ability because it's, the parking's not laid out well and there's extra in there a lot of the time. I mean, I think the pictures are trying to illustrate that.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of the town core is wasted space.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, even just for
Well,
reference,
it
even
is currently
6,
wasted space.
yeah, just for reference, even like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, a couple of us met with a person from the North Country Council who basically reiterated the exact same verbiage. Inefficient. So I've heard it before.
Sounds like a planning term about.
Yeah. Okay,
Derogatory comment,
well.
but that may
very
be
good.
true.
Well, it's a needs analysis.
Yeah,
How do you do that without being derogatory?
yeah. So we're good with that? So 86,
And that's why, we've amended the zoning to allow more flexibility in shared parking to try to avoid that kind of thing in the future.
right?
This is just curiosity. How do you pronounce Shustas? Is it Shus? Is it Shus?
Sure.
Does it matter?
Sure.
And is that, do we need to spell that out? Does it matter at all?
I'm sorry, we're on page, under
Yeah,
the shuttle bus operation.
82nd line down.
Shoosh bus, yeah.
Sure, yeah, whatever.
I guess, I don't know.
It's a
Ski term,
it's a ski term, yeah, European Alpine ski term.
Character.
Well, there is actually, Morgan raising a good point that it's not meant to be just a shuttle for the skiers. It's meant to be our municipal transportation
It
around
is.
town.
Not meant to be, it is.
Well, right, so it's a shuttle, and so by calling it, provide the shoe bus service throughout the village, that is correct, but it's more than just shoes, I think shoes to go to the mountain, right? It's more than that. So, I mean, you're raising a valid point.
I mean,
Whether we want to worry about something. of
Except everybody
a
uses it.
120-page document, I'm not going to.
But we all use that term all year round. Those of us that live here.
Making it philosophical.
I've mispronounced it my whole life.
But
You can continue to do so.
But it's meant to be municipal
yes,
Municipal
it's partially paid for
by
by
the town. The town
Well, yeah, the
pays
next sentence does say that to
20
clarify, I guess.
25%.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Are we changing something here?
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
think
we
people
just leave
know
it.
enough about what Shus means to believe that it only means it goes to the mountains. I don't think.
Perhaps.
the
I think
amount
what
is
it-
clear enough.
What has been called for so long? Fine. Okay, so that's fine.
Moving on.
86 to 87. On to 88.
Has anybody ever seen anything at the, I gotta just say this, I know the municipal airport does exist in Plymouth, I've driven by it. Do we know of anybody that's ever come in that way? I'm just
I've
curious.
seen National Guard aircraft.
No, I'm saying, has anybody ever seen anybody land in the Plymouth Municipal Airport and come here?
Yes, one of the people that live at,
Oh,
that
good.
have a place at Sunnyside have a share of a plane and they. park
Then
there.
that's fine, okay? I didn't,
It is Lakes Region Airport, and I don't believe it's in Wolfboro. I think it's right near Meadowbrook. So is that Laconia or?
Laconia,
I thought it was in-
Guilford? Like it's
Guilford or Laconia, it's right here.
I thought it was in,
that's the step shuttle service. I don't want shuttle
Yeah.
service.
Do we need to make a correction? What do you think?
Yeah, so
It's
it
not
says
in
Lake
Wolfboro.
Region and it's Lakes Region, but Lakes Region Airport, it don't think is in Wolfboro.
I thought it was, I thought
Where are
it
you?
was Guilford.
Under air on page
I could
87.
be wrong, it could all be.
Yes.
I'll check that.
Gotcha.
But we have Lakes Region Airport in Wolfboro already.
But she's saying it's not in Wolfboro.
Oh,
Oh, and we didn't have the S on it.
Yeah, we need the lakes.
so
Lake
let's slow down a little bit. So we're checking where the Lakes Region Airport is.
Yes.
Correct.
All right. When did I end it? With the
It
big
is
question.
Laconia Airport Authority.
So is it-
Sounds like
is it
Laconia to me.
Sounds
Laconia?
like Laconia.
But, so I guess it depends on which one we're talking about, because there are multiple small ones in that area according to this, and the one near Meadowbrook is in Guilford, and it's called the Laconia Airport Authority.
Right.
But then there's Arthur Seaplane Base and the Melbourne Village Airport all around the lake. So it depends on how detailed you want to get.
Which one are we referring to here? What is the
Is-
lakes region?
Is there a Lakes Region Airport in Laconia?
No, it's in Guilford.
All right, then we'll go with Guilford.
Guilford.
I always thought that was sort of like the main entree for this part, northern part of the lake.
All right, so yeah, Guilford. Got it? Good. Okay. Thank you for doing the research.
You said something about Moltenboro. Were we not including that one?
And the Moltenboro Airport in Moltenboro.
You're keeping that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a bit far.
That's a bit far to land and drive, but
Yeah, if someone's determined.
You don't go to Sandwich Notch Road.
Yeah.
have you been up Sandwich Mountain? Have you tried to do
Every
all
year.
the way over?
You might be there for 100 days.
You've
All right.
done the whole thing,
Page
all the
80,
where it's the total.
page 88,
88.
88, that's good.
You better need a Humvee to go around there.
Yeah, whatever.
Do we need 5 minutes to shake the antsies out or are we good?
Now,
Everyone's good? All right, 88.
This, never mind.
I'm gonna suggest though, if you don't have a lot on your regular meeting agenda for the August meeting, that you do the last chapter with recommendations then, rather
Oh,
than,
absolutely.
try to rush through them today.
Yeah, I think chapter
Yeah, the
8
action item.
Do it.
That's really-
in today, yeah.
Everything bad.
Are we, sorry,
That's what people will turn to.
on 88 though, the source for the map says Stava instead of Strava.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good catch.
You seen it now?
Oh, it's in the paragraph too.
And it should be Strava.
So, yeah, the second paragraph on the page,
I got it.
okay,
Steve Harn, ABA.
correct.
Oh, yeah, right there. Good catch. $89.
The weird thing is Java must be a word because spell check didn't get it.
All right, Nancy, you're queued up for 89.
So my thing on 89 is just that, I was hoping that all the bullet points could start with a verb. It's just so much easier to read and makes it more like goals are actually action items. So I would do the first one, create a clearly branded comprehensive wayfinding plan. Rather than start with a.
You may want to change areas then in the sentence to an action verb.
What?
So the resulting study of the pedestrian village
What?
revitalization.
No, we're on page 89.
Page you?
89.
Yeah, I'm on 80.
Yeah.
Just above the goal.
It's in bold.
Yeah, so just above the bullets, we say the resulting study, the pedestrian village revitalization study was completed in 2015 and identified some key areas on which the town should focus, which these include. So it's a noun, key tasks, if you turn it into
Oh, I see.
verbs.
Yeah, because it's, some of these are verbs, some of these
Right.
are, so we just
Gotcha.
need to decide, so.
Which, yeah, well,
Yeah.
you don't, thanks.
Gotcha. So
So I'm good either way.
Yeah, let's make them tasks, since this is all about the planning boards.
So these
Tasks
include the
or
following tasks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And then,
Oh,
So
wait.
basically you want to do encourage. Yes?
Oh, say that again.
Encouraged by.
Oh.
engage, I would say encourage bicycling and we can keep. it
As
like-
a,
Yeah, as a safe alternative. And then the next one is more complicated. I have a suggestion unless you want to do it.
go ahead.
Before you guys go there, did you want to have her add something before the colon? It says these include, did you want to
Yeah,
say these
the
include?
following tasks, right?
Or some key tasks or key areas.
Changed areas to tasks.
That would be a shorter way of doing the same.
I'm always looking for the short way.
Gotcha.
Okay,
That does it, yeah.
so I was thinking maybe, make our transit system more streamlined and welcoming, period. For, oh, maybe not, I don't know. For the in-town buses that are used during winter and summer seasons, comma, reduce wait time. And increase the number of shelters, period. Also keep open options for a future gondola connection between the mountain and valley floor.
Why don't you send me that
Okay,
so we don't have to all sit while I type.
done. Okay,
Okay. Excellent. Anyone else for 89?
Just a clarification question. It says town core working group and in another area it said town core committee. Are they different things?
No. It should all be.
Yeah, let's
for
pick
a
one.
working group.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what it's called.
good catch.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, so 1 second. So I'm gonna search for town core committee and change it to working group.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's its name.
all right.
Alan?
I'll pass.
No, okay.
And you need to change it to village core to be consistent with what you decided to call it in the plan.
I know.
Oh,
I
God.
know, I know. I know. Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. We'll agree.
All right, move on.
Do
to
we
page-
put it as an action item?
Oh, gosh,
Mind you?
probably will have to, but yeah. Move on to page 90. Oh, you have something? 91. All right, 91.
So in 91, I believe Sarah had the language, after discussing, Mark, after discussing the select board, all those bullets you had, we compressed it down into, I think, three bullets. I can read it to you, or Tara can just put it into the text.
Yeah, but I need you to clarify, Rich, what we're doing with the wording change on the previous page of the notes there, you were about the federal and state regulations.
The point that we're trying to make there, that just as stated, actually, just that town offices do not meet federal and state regulations.
I mean, my point is I have two different versions in what I'm, and I don't know which one I'm using.
Do you have the latest that Mark actually provided the language, or do you have, which one?
But there's two different versions of it. There's what page it starts, page 91, too much detail, and it has something highlighted at the end that's not in the final version I have here. That would, am I using the final page of this?
It should be the final page, begin to remove the current building shortcoming list. You have
Okay.
that page.
So basically, and I can just summarize it real quick. What I think that Mark and Bob agreed was to summarize all of these details and say the town offices currently do not meet all federal and state regulations regarding public safety and administrative operations, as well as some existing building codes. Shortcomings can be grouped into three main categories: insufficient administrative and public safety office and storage space for current and future needs. Public safety needs for interviewing, processing, and holding individuals is limited and may be in conflict with administrative operations. And current building has meeting space limitations, ADA compliant shortcomings, and technology deficiencies. Current operations are hampered by these, and the potential for future growth is limited by the facility. So
That's
we,
it.
Right, can you read the first sentence again?
sorry,
Can you read the first sentence again that says we're not in compliance?
the town offices currently do not meet all federal and state regulations regarding public safety and administrative operations, as well as some existing building codes.
Here's my question. If you're not in, and I don't know who to ask this question to except our select person. If you're not in compliance with regulations, normally short-term remedial action is normally needed. All right?
Mhm.
That's why I'm not excited about saying that we are not in compliance.
It's the truth.
No, I'm not
Not to make them-
Rich, I'm not questioning that it's the truth. I'm not questioning that it's the truth. I know that it's true. All right, the question I don't like saying. I don't like saying you're not in compliance with something unless there is designated remedial action.
Well, I
Because
think this is,
you don't have a plan.
This is to set that up.
but I think this is gonna back up the recommendations that deal with this, but I had a question that maybe for Rich, that I wasn't sure, that it replaced the last bullet about the parking spaces and this summary about challenges facing the replacement and upgrades, about fund needs. Aren't I just replacing above these? Can you see what I've highlighted?
I am, I took it to mean completely replacing page 91, right? And then going to page 92, you're talking about challenges. So I took it as replacing everything up to and including inclement weather operations.
Okay, because it didn't seem like the summary covered this last bullet about the parking spots and public works maintenance area. I don't see it covered in the summary that I got.
Well, we can leave it in there for now, and I'll check with Mark and have him get
Okay,
back.
because it's just, the summary doesn't capture that, so.
After that one last bullet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Otherwise, it's good to summarize that.
You said that.
Okay.
But we know we're keeping the challenges sentence, yes?
That's how I
Yeah.
understood it, yes.
Okay, all right. I'll check with Mark about that one. It just
Okay.
doesn't seem to me to be covering the summary.
Okay.
And then we answer the question of failing to meet regulations by saying the town will have to develop ways to address these needs in the near
And
future.
it's in the
Yeah.
action plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
that-
if that's
That
sufficient.
would be in that.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's gonna need
I
to be.
understand the issue.
Anything else on 92?
Oh, wait, I did have the one thing
Yeah.
on 91.
Oh.
It's small, but, the second major bullet, starting controlled access spaces.
These bullets are all coming out.
Oh, they're all coming out?
All of 91.
Oh, they're all coming out. I
All
missed
coming
that.
All of 91.
The three
That case-
summary statements I read replaced all those bullets.
Okay, good. Then never mind.
Good.
Missed that. Okay. Space now.
So
Now comes the fun
90.
part.
93,
Rich, what do you want to talk about the last paragraph and what the current issue is?
Mark had mentioned that we should look at that after public hearing. After we have our public hearing, because we'll need some more time to see where we're
Yeah, we're
going.
not ready.
So basically, what we're saying is, we know we have to change, we haven't figured out.
No,
No,
Exactly.
I've alerted me and I think.
no, I don't have a problem.
Operate.
As long as everyone understands there is
We'll have to
issue.
come up with language.
Yeah,
a issue.
yeah.
So we're not gonna update it before public hearing anymore.
Right.
Yeah, we have another meeting on it on Monday, because we haven't decided what we're gonna do yet.
Yeah,
So 93 having to do a transfer station is still up in the air.
Well, that's why I had a note to update
Right.
it right before public hearing.
Yeah, no, I think that's still
It'd have to
good.
be- or after the public hearing. Depending on when the public hearing is.
The issue will be getting approval from the state. I don't know when that's gonna happen. Once we decide what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So maybe before or after, but tie it to the public. We need to review again. We certainly need to review it again before the public hearing. To see if it's up to date. We may have to review it again after
After,
the public hearing
yeah.
as well.
Makes sense. I mean, it's
All
what it
right.
is.
Okay,
Then 94. Oh, looking at 95.
Some of that's gonna change too, by the way.
I'm sorry.
We talk about,
Oh, recycling.
well, yeah, we have 8 dumpsters located in the center.
Yeah, well,
That's
that's all gonna
Yeah.
change.
Yeah,
just to make sure,
That's all part of that.
but not all of recycling, but that.
right.
Yeah.
So anything in 95 for the school? Uh, 96. $97. How about 98? Uh, 99?
Same comment. but-
Yeah.
but it's quite a big-
Still a bit of weight.
is this a place you want to add a sentence about that 2 acres or?
That could be a place, yeah, that would be the place, I think. we could put it.
I have a question on 98.
Does somebody want to send me okay, go back to that.
Okay, what do you have on 98,
The
Mike?
question that I have, because I've asked the question and I've gotten that nobody knows. The town is responsible for capital maintenance of the building within the term of the lease. All right, the question I asked is, if you look at the outside of the skating rink,
Yeah,
it,
It's a mess.
it doesn't look good,
yeah.
said nicely. And the question,
Town.
huh?
That's the town,
So the question, so
town owns the building.
town owns the building, the town's responsible for painting it and,
Yeah,
and
that's
some
why
of it.
we are
and some-
stating it
and-
soon.
I don't- No, that's fine, because when I asked the question about, but you understand.
Okay.
So it's gonna look better.
But, so that's-
No, I understand.
All right, so nothing to more for this?
As long as somebody takes care of it.
99? We're good with that?
We were talking I'm
Someone
sorry.
Does someone want to send me a couple sentences and where to add them on the 2 acres?
Should we incorporate that into? Well,
There's gonna be an issue of timing here as well, because I don't think we're gonna get the 60% plan until late August, early September. And that's when we pick what we're going to do. And that is also going to determine whether or not we want to purchase the 2 acres of land.
right,
One or need, one and or need.
We're correct. So, perhaps, Tara, I think it might be best to continue to wait on this.
Okay, we'll just keep this note in here about updates.
Yeah,
all right, so then 100,
I think just
Yeah.
last nail in this coffin, it doesn't belong here because that 2 acres is going to affect where you put the wastewater treatment plant, which is going to affect the whole rest of the.
right, but I think it's so hard for us to know, and so I think waiting to find out more and adding it towards the end would be accurate, more accurate.
yeah, I think we would put something along the line, this is the plan, we go through all of that, the plan we chose, we're gonna buy these 2 acres to do it. And then some sentences that, this is going to open up approximately X amount of acres on town-owned land for further development. something
In the
like
future.
that.
In the future.
Okay,
So maybe we can get at it that way, but yeah, we need to see the language. We need to pick something first.
so on page 100, any corrections?
Yeah, be torn down, and maybe the will be torn down.
Right,
It could be-
right,
It could be torn down before this is actually published.
Could be.
so possible, all right. Well,
I think it's supposed to be, I mean, it's.
I-
What, sorry, I'm not with you.
I'm sorry, Tara, so on page
101.
101, the very last section, well number 1 in pump house. The second sentence, well house number 1 will be torn down. By the time we publish it, it will be torn down. I mean, it won't be there.
Right.
It's supposed to start next week. The project's supposed to start next week and take, I think, about 6 weeks, maybe.
Do we want to say has been or is being?
Do we want to even, the well 1 has been decommissioned, for I don't know how many years, and the pump house will no longer exist. So do we want to say anything
I would delete it.
about well number 1? I didn't think of it.
No longer in service would
And
summarize
it's
it.
not gonna, by the time this is published, it's not gonna be there anymore. So
The-
why
the-
bother?
So we'll take pump house out of the heading.
Right. Historically, we can mention no longer is in service.
Yeah.
That's
That's
correct.
sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then get rid of that.
Okay,
second
we'll move on.
It's only there, so as not to raise questions about why did the next pump,
Well, it's not there anymore.
sentence. Yeah,
that's it.
okay,
Only
102.
only that for numbering purposes.
So it's not just no longer service, it's been torn, it'll be torn down.
Well,
Pump-
the
pump
pump
house
is
Being torn down.
the pump house is gonna be torn down.
The little building. will
The
be
little
gone.
white building on David's land.
Okay,
So 102,
Just by coincidence, I am working on one other master plan now, and their well number 1 is no longer in service either, and I had to do the same thing of put it in there so we make sense of the numbering.
that's statement of water. Okay, so 102 is all right. 103,
Again, just the same points with all of this. This could be done. We're talking about future tense and a lot of this. It actually could be completed by the time we actually have a final document.
Let's worry about that when you've had the public hearing and we're
Okay.
finalizing the document to adopt.
That's fine. That's
Because
fine.
something like that isn't gonna require you to have a second public hearing.
right,
Okay,
We don't have to worry about making updates after the public hearing before you adopt the plan. We're just trying to now get, what do you want to have a public hearing on?
yeah. Okay, so 103. Any comment?
Something's missing here.
Oh, yeah, I got cut off a little bit.
oh yeah,
Done.
Good.
On 103 distribution system, 12 space miles.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
All right. Page 104. One oh five.
is there additional land to be bought, purchased around Love Cemetery? Huh?
I was thinking that too.
I thought there
What is
was
the
a-
exact language? The answer is we have to buy it if the landowner is willing to sell it. It's something,
We would have to buy private land, it's my
we have to buy
understanding.
private land to expand.
That's
the
my understanding.
cemetery. Presumably.
Somewhere, this doesn't say necessarily adjacent to the existing cemetery.
Oh.
True.
That's true, you could always, put it in our garden.
Brother. So where we at, 105? 106, are we at the end of the chapter?
That'd be true.
All right, and then I totally agree with Tara's suggestion that the action plan, because we don't want to gloss over this. We'll put that on the agenda for our August meeting,
Which is,
the second Thursday. Which is,
11th.
the day that I find out whether I'm.
Thank you,
Yes,
11th.
11th.
So it's part of
Yeah,
our regular
11.
meeting, not as a special.
as
meeting.
part of our regular meeting. Yes, I don't,
Right, that's-
I'm not gonna make that meeting. but
you want,
Just 2 points I'd like you to talk about.
well, why don't you email them to Alicia,
Okay,
so we don't miss it on that day?
I can do that.
That'd be great.
I'm on vacation next week, so you email me and Steve, you have Steve's email address,
Steve Warrior.
or
Can you copy me too, so that I have the input?
just so it doesn't sit in my email for a week. and you guys-
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Anything else you need us to do today, Tara, besides review again the action plan? I'm sure everyone's already read it, but maybe read it again in advance. of our
No.
meeting.
No, I think that'd be a good idea. Everybody have their comments ready?
Yeah. Anything else that we need to discuss? Pressing? Otherwise, no? Okay.
So, I mean, I'm gonna be out next week, so I'll be back on Tuesday the following week, and then I'll send out the agenda.
We won't be nervous that you forgot about us. Yes.
Do you know just if there's anything else on the agenda at this time, any conceptual? I know there's no applications of any conceptual come in.
Nothing big
No
like
one-
that.
Not that anyone told me yet.
So, good.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Oh, do I hear a second? I'll second it. Excellent. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
All right, see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Tara.
Sarah. Are